Hello everyone and welcome back. Man, these past few days have been crazy busy. That said, this little Hot Rod 117 right here for a Softail going to Dirk, it's kind of built all the heck and back. It's got a lot of performance goodies in it, some of which are forged rocker supports. Of course, you can see the Trask mist-free breather system in it. And another aspect of it, which is going to be a part of today's video, are these forged roller rockers from S&S. There's a clearance that we need to check and something that we need to be very careful of anytime we use roller rockers, especially on a twin cam. Stick around, I'm going to show you what that is. When you look at the inside of the cover, you're going to see these ribs right here, right? Now, I've put some marks here on this side and this side right here. Those marks coincide with where the arm lines up here on your roller rocker. They are quite a bit thicker than the stock ones, so what we need to do is make sure that this area here of your roller rocker matches up and clearances here on this webbing that you see. Quite often, you have to clearance that. There's one other aspect, I'll digress for a second. You also need to make sure, depending on the type of valve spring and retainer that you have enough clearance around that retainer and also in this bolt area right here of your rocker box base. The way that I do that, once I bolt that rocker box in, then I will take a 50 thousandths Allen key and trace it around the side of the retainer. I do that without the base gasket on. I use Cometic gaskets, so that gasket is also 20 thousandths. I know that's going to give me an extra 20 thousandths clearance in addition to that 50 thousandths Allen key I use, and I'll trace it around the top of that retainer. I'll mark the inside of the rocker box and then use a grinder and machine away to make sure I have proper clearance there on that retainer. But that being said, let's get back to the topic at hand. We're going to play with some Play-Doh here real quick. You guys that are engine builders, you're not unfamiliar with using clay or Play-Doh. I like using Play-Doh myself. It's a little softer. I've seen folks that will do this just to do a quick check. They'll just take the rocker box and they'll set it on top and then spin the engine over. And they'll see if the rocker box moves. That's not good enough, in my book anyway. Again, that rocker cover gasket from Cometic is 20 thousandths thick, so I know whatever measurement I have here for that clearance, I will be able to add 20 thousandths to it, estimated, once I put the gasket in there. So I know I've kind of got a built-in additional 20 thousandths clearance there. So what I want to do is take a small piece of this Play-Doh here and put it right here on the rocker arm. All right? And then we'll do the same thing on this side here. Now, one of the other aspects of this, I don't want to use the stock bolts because, as you guys know, anytime you use the stock bolts, this rocker box is wedge-shaped. So as you tighten down the stock bolts, that lid shifts to one side and can slide down and follow that wedge. Well, I don't want it to do that. So what I actually use are these tapered pins, these centering pins from Gems. All right, and that's what I use actually when I torque the lid down as well to try to keep it centered in there. So we have our Play-Doh in place here, and then I will install this box, and we're going to torque down these centering pins. And because they're tapered, as you can see, they hold the box centered perfectly here. And then we're going to rotate the engine over. Now, I want to do this slowly because if there is an interference, I don't want to mess up the box. So I'm going to turn it slowly, make sure there's no resistance to it. And we're going to go through a couple of revolutions here. Now let's remove the box and see what we have. All right, it's actually exactly what I was expecting to see. So I'll move the camera here in a second and show you. Actually, I think you can see it. Yeah, you can see it right there. See that little indentation? That's from the webbing. Now I can look at this one and I could take a gauge and measure that, but I know it's close. I don't want it to be close. Removing a little bit of that webbing just to be sure isn't a bad thing, but if I look at that, I should have plenty of room on this exhaust here, this rear exhaust, but I can clearly see here on the front that it's hitting. Now, I can take that, or just enough to squeeze out all the Play-Doh anyway, that it's right there and it's tapping. Of course, that's going to make a tap, 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 tap noise if I don't address that. I also know I'm going to gain 20 thousandths by having that gasket in there, and I don't want to have to worry about that. I don't want him to have a tacky noise with that hitting. So I'm going to go ahead and clearance roughly about 50 thousandths, maybe a little more, out of that webbing. So I know with that 50 plus the thickness of the gasket, again at 20 thou, I'll have plenty of clearance for this and won't have any issues. So, of course, repeat this for the other side, and that's just one of the aspects, or actually two when you consider the retainer, the kind of things you need to think about. If you're using anything other than absolutely stock components in one, having yourself a little bit of Play-Doh, of course we want to make sure we got all of the Play-Doh out of there, is a good thing. Just to check these little small details. Those little small details can make all the difference. So, guys, thanks a million. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks to our members. Thanks for subscribing. We're just about to hit 70,000 subscribers, and that's absolutely unbelievable. So, thanks, everyone. Take care of yourselves and each other. We'll see you again in a few days. Have a good one.